go. I'll feel look for your. I'll feel look for your this thing. For your life anyway. I'll feel look for your this thing. Then I'll let you know. Like on your post, then we don't need to know. Yes. So that may.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hey, what's up, Ajab? How's the weather over there in Canada, man?
Same shit, different toilet.
I guess it's cold over there.
Yeah. Really cold.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
been a little better the last few days. We've had no snowfall for like 2 days, but the weather is between -2 and 2 degrees centigrade. So that's
Okay.
good. That's good weather for us over here.
Okay. While we wait to start, I'll go ahead and share, let's say, in different WhatsApp groups.
Okay.
Then we can start in a minute or two.
Yeah, you can share the link. Share me the link so I can share with others.
Yeah. Then hopefully, what's his name can join later on.
Tres.
Tres Catos. Yes. So let me give you. Okay. Let me see. Let me the link. And let me share the link with you right there.
Yeah.
Do you want me to send you? Do you want me to send you my YouTube link or just the Facebook? I sent you the Facebook link.
You sent the Facebook. Which one would be better? I think which one do you think? Both or?
Yeah, I mean it depends on you. I've sent you the face. What you can do is just share on your page, like on your Facebook page.
On my Facebook page. Okay, let me do that right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Done. I've shared that. Done.
Okay. Meanwhile,
and then I also share it on different groups I am on.
Yes. So good evening, guys. If you're joining, just tell us where you're watching from, and please share the videos. Actually, if you can, share the links if you can. I have some people who like watching on YouTube, so I'm just sharing it over to them. We have lots of these WhatsApp groups. I have one that says Ndambana for Mop. So let me share over there. They like actually watching from YouTube. And to all those joining, I hope you guys have been enjoying the AFCON, regardless of the fact that Cameroon is actually out of the tournament. And you can comment where you're watching from. Oh, Cornell Ambertson from Dallas, Texas. That I already know, except you moved out of Dallas, Texas. Are you in Dallas, or are you in Forney, or are you in, Ephraim GK, my man from New Orleans, brother? Long time no see, man. Hey, Cornell, you now in OKC? Oh my goodness. I have people in OKC, man. Ephraim, this year I'm coming to New Orleans. I'll definitely call you, bro. Last time we had fun over in New Orleans. I'll definitely call you. Yep, I'll definitely call you, bro. So today I'm here with Ajab. You guys know Ajab. My brother say from Ikiri Windy. You guys actually know Ajab. This guy, I love his stuff, man. If you guys are not following him on Facebook, you should go ahead and follow Ajab. He's on Facebook. He will give you an like in-depth analysis. He will give you history. He will give you everything when it comes to football. I think his name is Ajab, spelled out AJAB, then ST. That's Ajab. So you guys should actually follow him on Facebook, and you will get up to date, football stuff. So today we're gonna be talking about AFCON. We're gonna talk about 16 final games. Then we're gonna preview the semi-final games coming on, and we're gonna pay lots of attention on the Cameroon national team. Their game against Morocco. We're gonna break that down. So let me start with you, Ajab. I mean, what do you make of the 16 finals? I mean, the competition. Which game was your best? Which game did you enjoy the least? What team actually disappointed you?
Um, yeah, thank you, Two Lion. Yeah, the game I enjoyed the most in the round of 16 was the Algeria versus Democratic Republic of Congo. I watched some end-to-end pacey physical football. The game was really good. Both ends, both teams came to play. None of them sat back. Unfortunately for Congo, I think one of the main reasons they lost the game is because they don't have depth in the squad. If you notice, when they started making those changes and bringing in the likes of Gaia Kakuta, it slowed down the pace and the tempo of the game. So Algeria became more comfortable. So I think that overall, that was the most exciting game to me. Both teams actually came to play. You could see it from the scoreline that Algeria was only able to score at the 119th minute, and that was after a missed pass, a 1-2 pass between Fiston Mayele and the other guy on the left flank. The assisted and Algeria, they're very good at transition football. By the time they made 3 passes, it was already on the other half of the guy who was facing Wan Bissaka. And the other kid, Amora, had out. How can I put it? Had killed Wan Bissaka all through the game. So I think they were tired legs, and that's how the goal came. So that was my most exciting game. The team that disappointed me the most was Tunisia. Tunisia is one of the countries which are frequent participants at the World Cup from Africa, even though they don't make it past the group stage, but at least they frequent the World Cup. So it shows to an extent that at least they have a certain level of football. They may not be right up there, even though the Hannibal kid came after the game to say the level is dropped. But at least they have a certain status, a certain level in African football. When they played Nigeria, I saw them coming back against Nigeria, even though they were not able to make the comeback. I thought maybe this was signs of, Tunisia may do something. I had them to beat Mali narrowly, and then when Mali got the red card, I thought it was all done. But Mali was able to keep for 20, because they had the red card after 20 minutes. They were able to
Yes.
play the entire game, and Tunisia was only able to score at about the 89th minute, and then 2 minutes after. You can't be leading 1-0, playing 11 against 10, and then you score at the 89th minute and you still concede a goal. So that was so embarrassing to me. I'm not a Tunisia fan, but I felt so bad that happened. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
Mali went on
Yeah,
to win the game. So that's my analysis of the most exciting and the most disappointing team.
I think that's why Hannibal was actually very angry because he
Mhm.
talked about not paying attention in to little details, and I'm sure that's where his frustration actually came from. But so far in this African Cup of Nations, I'm taking a post from your page where you say your player of the tournament or the contenders of the player of the tournament. You actually talked about Brahim Diaz. You talked about Ademola Lukman. You talked about Carlos Baleba, Alex Iwobi, and Ahmad Diallo. I want to throw some light on Alex Iwobi.
Mhm.
Apart from was that the last game where he was actually rested? He has played 4 games
Yeah,
and he's been very, very instrumental. I know that this is the age where we pay a lot of attention to stats.
yeah,
And if you pull out his stats and put it side by side, let's say with a guy like Ademola Lukman, you would say Ademola Lukman is far better than Iwobi in that Nigerian side. But in my opinion, I think Iwobi has been the guy who is basically unmarkable because he falls deep. Sometimes you see him play in between the central and the central defenders. So he's basically unmarkable. They cannot track him down, and he's the one making those passes, especially the pass today for Nigerian's second goal, where you saw that he actually threaded that ball, found Osimhen, and then Osimhen was able to feed out Adams, who actually scored that goal.
Mhm.
I want to hear more about you. Can you throw some more light so that anybody actually listening to this knows the importance of Iwobi and why Iwobi, in my opinion, is the best player of this tournament, hands down?
Okay. First, two things. The first thing I want to mention is that the what you read from my post, that post was made immediately after the group of 16. So
Three
that's
days
why
ago.
that's why you still see people like Baleba and Ahmad Diallo on the list.
Yeah.
If I made a list, I made one today which I didn't include everyone, but I added Osimhen now to the list. I now have 3 players from Nigeria who could be contenders. the second thing I want to make is that I share the opinion. I share the same opinion with you that Iwobi is the best player of the competition. I know someone's going to ask no goal, no assist, but if you look at every game, the way he's played, he's been excellent defensively, he's been exceptional offensively. And if you look, Nigeria has scored about 14, you see 14 goals? 14 goals this tournament.
That's huge.
About, if they score 14, 8 of them, the passes, not the final pass, but the pass before the final pass came from
Yes.
Iwobi. Yeah. So I can say a semi-assist.
Yes.
He always makes those true passes before he gets to who makes the final pass. And that's not all what. Even his ball control, he barely gives away the ball. He's been so confident. I don't know the conversation he's had with Eric Chell, but it will be this competition has been exceptional. He's something very different. If you look most of the time at Fulham or Everton or Arsenal, he used to play on the wing, even though he's a central midfielder. But with his performance at this AFCON, I think when he goes back to Fulham, Silva will have to play him permanently in the middle of the pack because he's proven that that's where he actually belongs. And like you said, what else can I say about Iwobi? To sum it up, he's been exceptional as a center midfield. And we've had conversations about Bassi moving towards with the ball and so much forward with the ball. If you notice, each time Bassi moves forward, Iwobi is the one who moves back immediately to fill that gap. And sometimes he even goes back to play as a deep playmaker. He gets the ball from Bassi or from Ojayi and starts the build up. So everything he's done in this competition has been spot on. If I have to rate him so far, I'll give him a 9 on 10. Just because I'm a very selfish person, I can't give him 10 on 10.
And given the role that he's playing, because he's playing like box to box, right? So you can tell the amount of ground or the amount of real estate that he's actually covering, right? So it's not as if he's actually playing in that holding midfielder position. No, he's a box to box, but he's able to come back, fall into those little pockets, and then create from deep. I'm actually admiring that. Now, Iwobi we are talking about is going to play against another contender when it comes to semifinals, Brahim Diaz. What do you make of the game of Brahim Diaz? I have said this about Morocco, right? When you look at Brahim Diaz, they look to attack the right-hand side together with Hakimi, who is actually a right back, but plays as a winger, So, and he's very elusive. You can see his movement with the ball, on the ball, and even sometimes without the ball because he's pressing. What can you actually make of Brahim Diaz, who is a revelation in this year's African Cup of Nations?
Even though he's 25 years old, but I will still consider him a revelation. It's his first AFCON. Not too long ago, he joined the Moroccan national team. Something I want to talk about Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz is one of those players who is a contender to me, not just because of his goals. Brahim Diaz is still one of those guys, without his goals, you still enjoy watching him play. He's not someone like El Kabi where you can only talk about his goals. He's someone who plays and he enjoys the game. So even without his goals, he's one of those guys who, if you've never been a football fan and you're watching Morocco play, you want to ask who the number 10 is because of the way he plays. So it's not just his goals that is making him a contender. I think every other thing about his play. And he's making use of the right side of the Moroccan team, even with the absence, because when I was making my pronostics for Cameroon versus Morocco, I was taking into consideration the fact that Morocco will be missing Unai and Amrabat, who've been the two key and consistent midfielders for like the last 3-4 years for Morocco. I knew that Diaz was going to step up, but I knew they would be missing those two guys. But Diaz, every game he's played, even besides scoring, he's done something else besides scoring. And that's what I like in football. I know they say football is all about goals, but there's more to goals. There's more to football than goals. And Diaz is one of those guys who brought that extra spice to the game, the way Morocco plays. If you notice the way Morocco played in Tres for like the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll talk to you later on. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you notice the way Morocco played at the World Cup when they made it to the semis, they were comfortable sitting at the back and then hitting teams on counter. But now in Africa, Morocco is like, when we talk about top teams in Africa, we talk about Morocco. So they can't go and play against teams and then they employ the same tactics when they are the ones who are supposed to be playing the attacking football. So now the introduction of Diaz to the Moroccan national team has brought in that flair where teams are going to play Morocco and they know they actually have this one guy we have to pay attention to instead of just the collectivity they had in the past. They now have individual brilliance in the team. So I think Diaz deserves a spot to a contender. Besides his goals, he still added something extra to his game, which he deserves to be a contender for the player of the tournament.
Okay. Tres Catos, we are talking about a post made by Ajap on Facebook about 3 days ago, where he talked about contenders, best players of this tournament. He talked about Diaz. He talked about Ademola Lukman. He talked about Carlos Baleba. He talked about Iwobi and Ahmad Diallo. However, that was before actually Cameroon got eliminated, Ivory Coast got eliminated. So he's added names like Osimhen into that list. In your opinion, just talk about any of these players, the names that are called, or if you have maybe different names, in your opinion, just tell me who has impressed you so far in this tournament.
Well, thank you for having me on the show tonight. It's a pleasure to share a platform with brilliant minds like Ajab when it comes to statistics and just reading the game because that's where I thrive. I like to see data to understand a game better. So just being on the platform with somebody like Ajab and you're asking me to piggyback from him, it's hard. But I'm going to say this. I remember an interview where they had Rigobert's song and they were asking him who were the players in Africa, and Osimhen's name came up, and Song said no, he was no quality, and Nigerians were having a panic attack. I think that in this tournament, Osimhen is proving to Song that once again he was wrong because the Osimhen confirmed today. I did read your comment, True Lion, that leap, that hang in the air that he had to score that goal, I think comes close to about Ronaldo's leaps. That tells you a man who knows his domain, who commands that offensive part of Nigeria of the game. So Osimhen would always have that striking force for me. But Ajap, I'm gonna differentiate. I'm gonna differ a little bit with you on. I think the heartbeat of Nigeria is Lukman, and
And
not
why is that? Why is that?
because in that offensive third, right? Like you said, Iwobi drops a little deep, right? Iwobi drops back a little bit deep to control that spot, and he does give the like you said, the third string pass that goes on to be the goal, right? He's a third touch, and then there's the assist, and then there's the goal. Iwobi does that, but I think Lookman's runs and the way he moves in that final third destabilizes so many defenses because they're so focused on securing Osimhen, they cannot double team on Lookman. So Lookman is the free radical that can move. And when he has the ball, they're double teaming Osimhen. So when he keeps probing with the ball, now they have to now come to him. Osimhen is free. He pulls that factor to him, and then he gives that killer pass or he frees up. So for me, I think that if they take Lookman out of the game, it would imbalance Nigeria in some way. So for me, Lookman he was the best player in the last tournament, and I think he carries that. But for me, the player of the tournament has been Brahim Diaz, no doubt, right? But per match. The guy does not even the guy any angle of his body he can score. Look at the goal he scored with Cameroon. I think that was his midriff that he scored. That's a player that is reading with confidence. That's a player that is in every space. You say he runs the right side, but look at where he was when he scored the goal from Cameroon. He was coming from the left, right? He's all over the pitch. He's in defense. He's in midfield. He's on the right mostly, but you could find him on the left. Like you said, it's a guy that lost the game. It's the guy that wants to play. It's the guy that is fighting for every chance. And I think beyond reasonable doubt, he's going to win. If Morocco can make it to the finals, he's going to win player of the tournament. For me, Brahim Diaz is my player.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a little bit. You know, we all have opinions, and we do actually agree your opinion. Let me ask this question. Ajab, who's your player of the tournament so
Alex
far?
Iwobi. Alex Iwobi.
Alex Iwobi. Okay, let me ask you this. Morocco has played Comoros. They played Mali. They played Zambia. They played Tanzania. They played Cameroon. Okay. Nigeria. If I do remember, Nigeria has played the beat Tunisia.
They played Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, Mozambique, and today Algeria.
Okay. So if you look at Nigeria, the way they dominated, they played, I'll say we can say two strong teams, two top teams that are ranked higher than Cameroon. I can say that was Tunisia and that was Algeria. And they really smashed them, right? And
They
if you
smashed
see,
Algeria, not Tunisia, though.
well,
Yeah,
they didn't
Tunisia.
smash Tunisia, but they smashed, did they play Mozambique, right?
Yeah,
Mozambique
4-0, 4-0, yeah.
4-0.
0.
Okay, Mozambique is not really. Yeah, so basically, I mean, you guys, I mean, if you take the fact that Brahim Diaz has scored some important goals for Morocco, you can make that case. And I think he's on 5 goals, right? He's leading the
Yeah.
Golden Boot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He scored in
he's
every
Every
game.
match, he scores in
Yeah.
every game.
He scored in
He
every
scored
game.
in every game.
Yeah.
And then he's actually pulling strings, but his stats don't look flashy. So I can understand where you guys are actually coming from, right? So let's watch. Both teams are actually going against each other, and then we can tell better. Another subject I want us to talk about, right? In Cameroon, when the AFCON was actually held in Cameroon, then we went to Ivory Coast. I remember even the British press was talking about VAR, how VAR was used in Cameroon and in Ivory Coast, and how the refereeing in Africa was actually good. But this year, this AFCON, we have seen so many controversies. I don't only want to talk about the Cameroonian case, because in the Cameroon case, I've read people saying that Morocco should have also had a penalty given to them because of that foul. A player was stepped upon. So there are irregularities.
Foul, yeah.
Ibinde stepped on the Eswazi.
Exactly. So there have been irregularities, right? And then we see the changing of refs in the last 24 hours. I mean, what do you guys actually make about that? Because it speaks to the integrity of the game, especially of the African game. I mean, what can you guys make of this?
Go ahead, Tres.
Yeah. For me, when I read that the eve of the game, the Royal American Football Federation had petitioned to have the ref change, and Fecafoot's president was actually doing a handshake in Yaoundé. I was like, okay, so what's going on here? Morocco is focused on the game, and their federation is pushing to change a ref. And in Cameroon, the federation is not saying anything. Are they just okay with it? Are they, because that's a game that both teams were supposed to go. You're supposed to, whatever Morocco is fighting for, you're supposed to counter and say no, we support or we are against. But the focus was in Yaoundé, shaking hands like on doit manger, on doit aller saluer le président. So for me, that was where Cameroon started dropping the ball without stepping at the same foot with on the same foot with Morocco to fight and oppose that ref change. But yeah, there were questionable calls, but I think there were questionable calls on both sides. The game itself, we will talk about the game itself, but on the call aspect on itself, when that conversation goes out that Morocco is getting favoritism, it tarnishes the brand. When we came from AFCON, like you just said, from Ivory Coast, everybody was marveled with how VAR had operated. The refs were doing the game, and then now we come to this situation, and the ref, and there was one VAR incident that went for about 15 or 20 minutes in one game. I can't remember. It was so long, and everybody was talking about it. So we don't want this. This is taking us away from football. CAF has to step in. CAF has to do what needs to be done to ensure that VAR is essential to the game, but VAR is not what is being talked about.
Thank you for that. Ajab, you go.
Yeah, I kind of align with what Tres just said. But something Tres mentioned that I didn't even pay attention to was the fact that when Morocco filed in a complaint or a petition against the ref, Fecafoot didn't counter. The federation president was in Yaoundé at the time for a visit. I don't know if it's an emergency visit or something, but he wasn't around Morocco at the time. Or Cameroon never made any petition or any counter public in regards to Morocco filing a complaint against the Egyptian ref. So that's something too which is really important. And thanks for spotting that, Tres. The other thing too is that we've had so much controversial calls throughout the competition, like the VAR. I think he's probably talking about the Egypt South Africa game where a player was, I think, a South African player, I think, accidentally gave an elbow to Salah while running for the ball, and then the ref gave pointed out. The ref didn't call it out. VAR had to call out. VAR had to call the ref for the ref to make multiple analysis, and finally gave the penalty to
To Egypt.
Egypt. And then towards the end of the game, there was a penalty that he called, and then he went to VAR after about 10-15 minutes, and then he canceled the penalty. And there were different opinions on that. And that's just one of many instances that we've had throughout the AFCON. And with the way things are going, we may still have a few more of such calls in the next 3 games, because we have no 4 games. We have 4 games left. The semis, the classification, and then the final. So, but all in all, it's been instead of us moving forward from Ivory Coast, because everyone had nothing but positive feedback about the officiating in Ivory Coast, and then now we've spent almost half of the time complaining about officiating in Morocco, which we thought was going to be an improvement. But so I don't know exactly what's happening. CAF needs to step up. They need to do something. Even like they don't have the goal line technology. There was the goal line clearance today, Algeria versus Nigeria, which also took some time to
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I was asking myself, how is VAR gonna see that? Except but they got it right. They got it right though, because
So-
I was questioning myself, how would
Even the Koto's goal line save.
Mhm.
I didn't know that they didn't have the technology. I just thought that his watch didn't tell him that it was a goal. I didn't
No,
know.
Yeah, I think a lot of leagues don't have it. England has it. I think a lot of leagues. I've seen the
But this
Spanish.
is the African Nations Cup. Like it just there's no excuse.
Yeah, but again, hey, again.
I know. Let's not make
Anyway,
excuses.
let's move over. Let's move
This is
over.
the height.
No,
of-
we ain't gonna spend time debating about that. We ain't gonna spend time
Yeah.
debating about that. There's the African Cup of Nations, but again, goal line technology is not a must, right? But let's talk about the Cameroonian national team. Let's talk about the game against Morocco. I mean, let's talk about how we do rate their performances so far for the African Cup of Nations. I think let's start with overall how we rate the performances of the African Cup of Nations, because there's one thing that strikes my curiosity, right? When you hear analyze Cameroon national team, they say this is a team that was put together just 1 month before the African Cup of Nations, and the way they played, they did a marvelous job. I mean, it's true, but for me, because I've always have this saying, right? Say they need a fit file for market day, which simply means that you don't have to wait until the tournament is closed and then you start taking decisions, right? We have known long time ago, about almost a year, ever since we qualified for the African Cup of Nations, that we shall be going to the African Cup of Nations. So if we make a decision based on what is actually happening in our football to take 3/4 of the squad, kids, and go to a competition, it's not a plus. That's what we have decided to do. So when we come to analyze the team as a whole, I don't see why people are taking that as a plus. I mean, how do you guys assess? I mean, that statement to start with. Let's just talk about that statement. Is it right to put such a statement up front when you're actually analyzing the Cameroon team? Ajab, I can start with you.
I think it's a correct statement to make. First things first. The reason I know they qualified a while ago, they qualified for the AFCON, but they still had the World Cup qualifiers. And the only reason, or let me say to me, what I think is the only reason they replaced Mark Brace with David Pago is because Cameroon didn't qualify for the World Cup. Had it been Cameroon made it to the World Cup, I think Mark Brace would have been the one coaching Cameroon for the AFCON. So then the World Cup qualifiers just ended about a month or 2 months ago. So they had to make that decision. And maybe also they're looking at plans to rebuild. So you are not entirely wrong, but I think it's a correct statement to say that the team was only built maybe 10 days or 12 days to the start of the competition, and based on the fact that they didn't have enough time to prepare their performance at the AFCON, it's a plus. Or I won't say marvelous, but they did a good job, and you can see, and I can see that there's room for improvement based on how they perform with the length of time they had to prepare for the tournament. I know that they made the decisions, right? But they also make, sometimes you need to, I don't know if I'll say you take one step behind to make 5 steps forward. So I'm looking at Cameroon now at the long term, not just because they didn't win the AFCON. I'm looking based on the quality, not quality of players per se, the age group of the players. Because if we're honest and objective to ourselves, we don't have a good bench. Yeah, Cameroon, we don't have those players who can come off the bench and make changes. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that all through the competition, every game when we made changes, it slowed the tempo of the game. Yeah, either we're making changes to defend or and that was what was happening to Cameroon in most cases. So and all I think yeah, they had a good tournament, not a marvelous tournament. They had a good tournament, making it. This was one step better than last AFCON, right? So to me, I think they had a good tournament. They had some young guys who showing that with time they will be up there. I know the president said they will be coming for 2027 to win. I'm not getting there yet because this is just the start. I don't know what's going to happen between now and 2027, but I think the group looks promising. If they have put the right things in place, everyone is allowed to do their job. I think they have a squad which could be one for the books in the years to come.
Okay. Same question to you, Treskatos.
Like Ajab said, it's a fair statement. The team was put in. That's not the team that played the qualifier, so it was actually essentially put in the time frame that it was. If it was the same team that had played the qualifiers, then we would not be saying that it was a rushed team. Some of those guys are playing their first AFCON. A lot of them, and it's a very young team. I think Cameroon had, if not the second or third youngest team in the AFCON overall. I could go look at that, but you're right to say that we've known about this. But there's also the issue that there was the presidential, the elections, the Pikaput elections that was happening, and they needed to sort that out before coming to CAF so that Eto'o has the leverage to then fire McBreeze and then put in place a team. So this is all of the embodiment that says that the team was rushed. An inexperienced coach was also put. So all in all, the bar, when you look at that picture, the bar was low. As with everything in Cameroon, the bar is always low. So anything above, when you raise that bar at any level, it's an improvement because you picked it up from the floor. So coming into this Nations Cup after having not qualified for the World Cup, nobody can have expectations, and seeing how things change. You cannot say, oh, we expect them to get out of their group. We expect them to go this far. We expect them to do this. I mean, they're the passionate people that are just going to be blinded about anything and say, yes, these are the expectations. But people who know football realistically will not just throw that kind of weight to a bunch of kids that are just coming in, to come for the first time. So seeing where they ended, how, and like Ajab said, they went one step further. It's almost surpassing realistic expectations.
Yeah.
And that we need to hand it that we care, because we might think that that's their real value, right? We might think that that's where they are in all truthfulness, because momentum might have just carried them through this tournament, and maybe Morocco has shown maybe the true state of where the Cameroon national team is, right? For me, that Moroccan game should be the state of where that team is, and then you can build from that. You could say that the team had no control of that game. No, I mean, they had controls in areas that were unnecessary, but they had no shots on target for 95 minutes. So this is a team that, and Ajab said, we're talking about a bright future for a team that does not have a bench, right? There's no impact player that comes up from the bench to change the game. Morocco can bring anybody up from the bench and they're going to change the game, right? So you cannot aim. And like I said, I listened to the president's speech, and I heard that speech in Cameroon. I heard that speech in Ivory Coast, and I'm hearing the speech again now in Morocco. And I don't know if it's a 5 billion speech again that we're going to be asking coming up here shortly. But it's not a reassuring speech when you've not done your assessment to see what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to improve. Those for me are the things I would like to see Cameroon talk. But overall, for me, the bar was too low for the team, and where they finished deserve them to be applauded. But it also needs them to take stock of that Morocco game as their real foundation.
Okay. Thank you for that, guys. Let's go a little bit further, right? I want to talk about the team in itself, right? I know now people have expectations, okay, the way they are talking about this team. The bar maybe has been set low, but I mean high. But when I look at the team, I look at the players that were called. Okay, some of them are actually new players, and a lot of you know fans have been saying that Hemley is back. A lot of fans try to compare them to the 2017 team that actually won the African Cup of Nations. And I said, hold on. In my opinion, that team is not yet there. Because when I look deep into the team, the system that we want to play in a 3-5-1-1. Ajab, let me ask you this question because you are very, very much closer to the Cameroonian football. I mean, football that is played back home. Do you know 3 or 4, 5, 6 teams in Cameroon that play with a 3-5-1-1 or that play with a three at the back? And the reason I ask this question is because when you start playing that formation at the national team, it means you have to start grooming players, that can play that type of football, okay, that can play that module of football. See, we had a deficiency at wing backs. We took only 3 players that could play wing back, and the coach ended up playing 4 players that are not even wing backs. Basingok,
Buemo,
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 Eric
Ebimbe.
Ebimbe, and Nkudu.
Mhm.
So, I mean, where are we going with this? Do you know any teams in Cameroon that play with a 3 backline? Or do you know academies training players towards that direction?
The honest answer is no. I knew. I've watched Pago coach at PW Bamenda, and that was his formation. That was his setup: three at the back, 3-5-1-1 or 3-5-2. When he also coached Stade Renard, he coached them. He also played three at the back. So that's the way he's always coached. So I also mentioned when Cameroon, when Cameroon, I also mentioned to someone or to a few people that when I noticed that they had called up 3 left backs, that was Tolo, Nagida, and Yongwa. I told someone that it means Pago is going to continue with the three at the back because it means Tolo is going to play as one of the center backs, preferably the left center back. So I know he's always been playing three at the back, but you've made a point which is very important and we should not ignore, because I don't want people to just take this like maybe you're just criticizing. That's true. If you want to impose three at the back system as the system Cameroon is going to use moving forward, it means we have to also encourage teams back home to use that system. Because three at the back system is not a 4-4-3. It's easy to call it 3-5-2, but it's very difficult to implement. We've had world-class coaches, managers like Mourinho, Pep, they attempted using it. It didn't work out. So when you're implementing the 3-5-2, you must be serious and committed and look at the very fine details or very basics when you're implementing that system. So the only team I know is Stade Renard, which was coached by David Pago, and also PW Bamenda, which was coached by David Pago. Unfortunately, when he coached both teams using that system, they won the league. He won the league with PW Bamenda, won the Cup of Cameroon with PW Bamenda using that 3-5-2. When he went to Stade Renard de Melon, at that point, Cameroon had the system where you had 2 groups, and then 2 best teams come and they do the playoffs, and then the very best team becomes a champion. So he was in Group A with Stade Renard de Melon, and he won the league. He won the Group A. He was champions of Group A using that system. So I think You say you don't change the winning team, or you don't. And he joined. He became national team coach just a few weeks before the tournament. So I think he just said, okay, let me stick to what I've been doing in the past, and that was the only way he could do it. But I also mentioned we've had this conversation. I've had the conversations with many people, not just because of the Cameroon Morocco game or Cameroon Ivory Coast game. When that list was out, I said Cameroon is taking only one natural right back. It may be a problem. And even though Chamado is not a super player or something, but I think Cameroon lost that game when Chamado got injured, because that's when Ebimbe came in and Ebimbe looked lost. Even though Morocco was dominating the game, but I thought Cameroon could have it. If Chamado was there, or if Chamado was replaced by a like for like, if Chamado was replaced by a like for like natural right back, the game Cameroon would have approached that game different. So the three in the back, that's what he's been using. But I think maybe he will explore different options, and then maybe he will stick to the three at the back, or maybe play four at the back. I don't know, but that he's the only one I know in Cameroon let's say at the top elite level. The guy who is coach of the intermediate Lions now, So Simplis, that's his system he's always implemented since from him coaching even the top cup on the 13 and on the 12. He's been playing three at the back. He coaches now the intermediate Lions, and he still plays the three at the back. Even when he was coaching local teams like Pante Bagate or Fovu de Baham, now he's coach of Dinamo. That's his favorite setup, the three at the back. So,
okay. So thank you for Ajab. So from what you have just said, I don't see that formation as being sustainable when it comes to Cameroon, or unless we're gonna be counting only on players coming from abroad. I mean, with their skill set and stuff like that. Because when you play such a formation, and in the league we don't have 4 or 5 teams actually playing that formation, then it becomes difficult. Tres, I want to ask you a totally different question. I want to talk about the team. I mean, what you saw against Morocco. I mean, is that the baseline for you? Is that the baseline of the Cameroon national team? Because if you see in our games that we played against Gabon, Ivory Coast, Mozambique, I think the game that we came out aggressive, we needed a win. We came out aggressive, and we came out with intent. Was that last game against Mozambique? However, when you look at the other games, I think Cameroon was not that convincing. I mean, what do you make of that?
Yeah, if you permit me, I want to just touch a little bit on the conversation that the question you asked to Ajab, just a little
Go
bit.
ahead. Go ahead.
The way you frame the question about setting up, it feels like if Pago is not there, and then they bring another coach who is more comfortable with another system, and they've made three at the back, the national system, is that not going to throw off? I think that coaches should be adjusted. They should have their preferred lineup that they're comfortable with, but they should be able to adjust, right, based on the team that they're going to play, based on so many factors. You should be able to tweak your lineup depending on so many different factors. And I don't think that Pagu was able to adjust based on the team that he was facing. He was just set in his standard. And Ajab, with you're like Eno asked you, and this is just to enhance my knowledge about Cameroonian football. I only measure Cameroonian football at the CAF Confederation level. I don't measure Cameroon football at Cameroon League level, because for me it's just not a level that I can measure. So I was following Stade Rennais when they were playing their qualifiers, and I think it was some Algerian team that took them out, right? That's Stade Rennais, right?
No, you mean this year?
This year
was Colombes
de Sud.
Yeah.
So I was following them, and they are away, and it was tie in Yaoundé, and then they lost in Algeria, right? Yeah. So
they lost. They tied 1-1 in Cameroon and then 0-0 in Algeria. So the technical goal differential thing, yeah.
Right. So that's where I measure Cameroon football. And if Cameroon cannot break into African football, then I don't weigh Cameroon football at any level. So the excitement, the euphoria that you won Cameroon League does not mean anything to me if you cannot transfer that and at the very level just qualify into the group stage, and they don't do it, right? So I cannot rate a coach back three strategy, back whatever strategy, if at the very next superior level, you cannot even execute. You see where I'm a little.
No.
I have issues with that.
Yeah,
with that.
Tres,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. I wasn't rating him based on. I was just, because the question was if I know any team that plays three at the back. So I was using Pagu as reference. I for one was very surprised. Let me not say surprised. I wasn't expecting this from Pagu when he was appointed coach, because, like you said, me too. I'm a fan of Cameroon football, but I don't rate Cameroon League. I don't rate it. So I didn't want to use, because I had conversations with a few people. I said, okay, we're using the Cameroon League to rate Coach Pagu, but the same league that we're using to rate him as a top coach, we can't use players from that league at our national team level.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right. That was one of the points I raised.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, I was surprised with Cameroon's performance, based on, not because I thought Pagu was a bad coach, but because of the level of our league. I didn't know we could use that experience of winning the Cameroon League to appoint him as the head coach.
Yeah. Okay. So now moving back to the question that you asked, True Life. Like I said, for me, I had no expectation. A lot of these guys were relatively new to me. I had a conversation with you, or I read a post that you had made, and you were so adamant about Nagida, and I simply told you that I have gone and looked at Nagida's stats. The boy is a serial bench warmer, right?
Yeah.
Prior to this game, he had only played for the national team in the World Cup qualifiers. If he gets in, it's maybe 5 minutes at the end of the game. One of those kind of substitutions that you make just to kill the game, right? So he's not a player for the team. The last 9 games, I think the last time he played was in March, right? So when I saw him play, and then I'm like, how come he's not even getting 20 or 30 minutes, even in cup games or anything like that? I was so impressed. But I was telling you that, and most of Cameroonian players are also coming off the bench. They're bench warmers or just coming up. So I had no expectation for this team. So for me, every game, their first game, I was pretty impressed. It was a new coach, new guys that came out, like the Francophones who say Mouillé le maillot. I was pretty impressed. Ivory Coast game, everybody was impressed. Everybody said that was for me, I think that Ivory Coast dominated that game, and that's in all honesty for me, right? I think we had a couple of chances and we buried one, but it's a rivalry, it's a derby between two countries that would go at each other, and Cameroon showed up. Ivory Coast didn't take their chances. If Ivory Coast took their chances, it probably would have been a different story, but everybody enjoyed the game. So I kind of followed through. I didn't want to say anything to be a
hater.
A hater, yeah, essentially. So the one game that I felt like Cameroon should have dominated was the Mozambique game, right? And as much as they won, I didn't feel like they dominated that game, right? Mozambique played, I felt, and this is what actually gave Mozambique hopes to go to the second round. Nigeria had to bring them back to reality and say, this is where you are. Don't think that what you were doing with Cameroon is what we're going to do here. So Nigeria just re-humbled the guys back, brought them back to reality, because they had played Cameroon, and they felt like if we went to Cameroon toe-to-toe and they actually beat us 2-1, yeah, we can take up Nigeria. So for me, Cameroonians, the team, Fecafoot, and the coaches need to put everything aside, take that game with Morocco. They were dominated in every area. I mean, every area. When I saw Ebimbe came in, I knew that the coach was confused, and that was the pressure from the game, because I had to go back and go look at when that substitution happened. I went and pulled Ebimbe's profile, and he's a striker. I don't know how you bring a winger to come play. He's not even a wing back, right? He was lost. He did not know what he was doing. You understand? It's like sometimes when you try to have me go play up front, I think I'm better playing up front. But sometimes when you try to do that, I'm also lost like that. That's how Ibimbe was. And they subbed him. What did he have? 30 minutes of play? Ajab, how many minutes did he have?
Yes, about 30.
About 30,
yeah.
About
30 minutes of play.
And then 10, about 30 minutes.
So that's a wasted substitution. And that goes down to Pagu. And if you look at no coaches, if you make that kind of coach, it's a panic substitution. It's a substitution under pressure. It's a substitution that you have not really thought through it, because like Ajab said, All he could have done was just change his formation back for bringing a defender, moving maybe a Malone to the right, or you did propose in one of your write-ups, Ajab, that you could have dropped Avom out
Yes.
to and then bring in a
Kemen.
more mid an
Kemen,
offensive,
yeah.
because we cannot link up the defense and the offense, right? They have cut out Baleba. They cut him out cold. They just
Yeah.
took him out of the game. He was lost. So you needed another player that could be a ball carrier, that could progressively move the ball and then hand it over to Namaso. And we didn't have that. So
Okay.
for me, I think that the coach panicked. I think that the pressure got to him, and Ebimbe's substitution was clearly evident. And they should look at that game as where they need to say, this is where we truly are. This is who we are, and how do we build from
From
here on out?
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's
Thank you
funny
for that.
because
Let me.
sorry, truly, on just one statement. Sorry,
Yeah.
very quick. It's funny because when I made that that comment or that write up about the entire game, someone asked me if I'm better than Pago. So I was like, that's not the point. We as football fans, we question some of the actions of Mourinho, some of the actions of Guardiola. It's okay. Then when we question Pago, it's now a problem.
Oh,
So
of course, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
so I
okay.
was
That's okay
no problem.
because we know Cameroonian fans are too emotional. But let me
Yeah,
actually give a shout out to some of the guys watching. We have Ephraim JK, Bertrand, the biggest, Ashu Bisong, I salute. Cornell Ambeson, Elango, Benefunde, Mapiti, how you doing? And Awasun, Akosong, your man Ajab is on the line. And
yeah, the big Zago.
I should be some said something, and that we did play the 3-5-2-2 3-5-2 formation in 2000 and 2002,
Yeah,
which is
that's true.
actually true. But if you do remember, that squad started from 1998 World Cup, and it took us time, about 2 years before we built and then get there. However, guess what? We were not able to maintain that culture, or that, because those players, the Jeremy and all that, a lot of them came from the Brasserie, okay? And then after that, we were not able to produce over and over. And that's one of the reasons why I say, I'm talking to you now, Tres Catos. That's one of the reasons that I say that a system, like if you see Barcelona, right? If they are playing tiki taka, a 4-3-3 at the professional level, guess what? All levels of the academy are playing the same type of football, because it takes a while and it takes special nurturing to nurture certain type of footballers that will play the type of football or the type of football culture that you want. And that is how football is actually built. You see, Spain started succeeding. You know, the Iniestas, I mean, Xavi was there even before like 2000 and, 2008, 2010 World Cup. But they did not only start succeed when those Barcelona kids, the Busquets and all that came, and then Spain had adapted the system that Barcelona had been playing for quite a while, and that's when you started seeing Barcelona winning. Gus Hiddink left Holland and took his football to Russia, to Asia, in order to build a culture, and it takes a while. That's why, in my opinion, I'm saying that if Cameroon wants to play that 3-5-2 formation, they have to go back to the basics and build their football in that manner. And any coach that you actually interview for the job, you have to make sure that that's their identity. That's all. That's what I was talking about. Now let's go back to something that I think Awasim said something here, that the connection between the national team and Elite One is weak. Therefore, the justification behind the tactical setup for the national team shouldn't be linked to the Elite One. I do agree. I do agree with him. Now, moving forward, we've talked about that Pagu team. Okay, you bring in three defensive backs. I'm talking about was that Chamadu. Uh, Chamadu was there. Then the two left backs, Darlene Yongwa.
Three left backs.
Three left. Well, he was playing
Tolo as a
Tolo
left center back. Yeah.
as a central back. Okay, but we can say three left backs. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's what he actually brought, right? Because in my opinion, I've made this argument based on what I have seen. Okay, that team was not called up by Pagu. It was Samuel Eto'o that actually called that team. And that's my opinion, right? Based on what I have seen and based on how Pago has actually answered some questions that he was asked at the press, because he was asked about the limitations at right back. And he did not come out with a convincing answer. And this is someone that I know masters his environment and masters his language. Okay, because I've listened to him and all that. I've said this. The reason why Pagu is more successful than a Rigobert song is because he knows how to talk. He is a father figure. He has the command of the kids. So when he talks to the kids, they understand. And that's why you were able to see them play with so much conviction, because he is like a father figure. And that's why you see the squad, okay, talking with one voice in that direction. However, there are a lot of people who say we have a bright future because they see the energy, they see some of the kids that came in. You can talk about Koto, you can talk about the Wall of Jericho. For those who don't know, that's Che Malone. Ajab always talks about that kid. I actually know that kid through Ajab, talking football with Ajab. So when Che Malone was actually called, I'm like, okay, let me watch this guy, you know. And sometimes, you know, that's why I said the fans, Cameroonian fans are very, very emotional, because I made a post and I talked about after the game against Gabon, when Etai Young scored that goal. The next game he was benched. And the reason I make that post is because normally when you see a center forward with his first shot on target, I think Cameroon created about 3 big chances in that game, had just 2 shots on target. So one of the shots was actually a goal. So the goal expectation for Cameroon was actually like low, but we exceeded it because we scored that goal, right? With 1 shot with 2 shots on target. But now you see that that player is actually benched for a guy that came late to the national team, right? So he had not been training with those players. So when I asked that question, that why is Pagu putting a player, a center forward that just scored a goal and breaking his confidence? A lot of people came out on me and stuff like that. I mean, what do you make of that, guys? I mean, what do you make of such a coaching? Of course, Pagu knows the players better, but after what you have seen, what do you draw? I mean, what can you make? What are your analysis based on that decision made by Pagu? Because in my opinion, it might have now played with the psychic of a guy like Etai Young. Look at the miss that he had against Mozambique. So, I mean, what do you guys actually make of that?
I know I went at you for that comment, so let me just go ahead and start. I watched that game and I didn't see anything that Etai Young offers to the team when he's not with the ball. A striker should be able to do with the ball, without the ball, so many things, right? Off the ball, what else does he bring to a national team like this? Can he play his back against goal? Can he play in spaces? Can he play when we're not seeing him? And I did not see that about him. It was so frustrating. So when you make that post, I was like, but apart from scoring that goal, what else did he offer? He runs a lot. If you look at his kilometer coverage or how much distance he has covered, he's a guy that is very fit. He's very athletic, but that does not really translate to anything. So I said that's the time when I started giving Pagu credit, that when he was able to bench and bring that Kofane on. Kofane does a lot without the ball. Like the second goal that he scored, you could see how he peeled off from his marker, right? And the right position where he headed that goal, that's somebody who has read the entire box, adjusted. This is the second team with these guys, right? But you could see how he's reading the game, how he's building the game. For me, it meant so much. But if you don't feed him, if you don't give him the ball, he's gonna be useless too. He, like the game against Morocco, we played literally 10 against 11. He had no role in that game. But for me, Etai Young needs a team where every player is able to move the ball forward and just feed him the ball, and he's going to score the goals. Cameroon does not have that. I don't know that the national team is ever going to have that. So he's going to struggle in that capacity as a striker in a Cameroonian national team that a striker needs to do more, drop back, build with the team. And there was one pass that he gave to Brian Baymore that you and all you did question that pass. We were doing a counter attack where Basogog had collected the ball, and we were
That was
running
against
up.
Ivory Coast.
Yes, and they gave him the pass, and he put it into space instead of putting it close enough to the defender, but the defender cannot get the ball, and so that it's just a layup for Brian Baymore to just hit it, right? And he just the way that he put the pass, those are the things that I say he does not affect the rest of the game. See how deep he was? He wasn't able to assess that pass. He wasn't able to figure out where he needs to put that pass. And that's why I say and I said exactly that's why he's on the bench when he made that pass, right? And affect his mentality. He's a professional. That's a professional player. Nobody cares what is affecting his mentality. He is supposed to turn that page and come back a better player because that's what is expected to him at the very least. He has people, he has specialists that he can talk to, but when he puts on that jersey and gets to the field, we're not saying they're not humans, but as a professional, there's certain expectations that we expect of you that once you get your chance, you bury it. We cannot be crying about you were benched last week and now you have a layup to score and it's affecting you emotionally. So he's going to carry this to his club now. They're not going to care that he didn't score that goal and now it's affecting him. On Monday, when he gets back, or on Saturday next week, they're going to expect him to score. So nobody's going to care that he's emotionally down or none of that stuff. So we don't care either too. So he needs to pull his big boy pants. He needs to pull his big boy pants and get on with it. And that's why Baleba and everybody were telling him, get with it, get up, and let's go. There's no time to be crying here, right? So I know it's your relative. I think that you're a little soft with him, but not your relative.
No.
I know.
Okay.
You're a little soft.
Let's be mindful. Let's be mindful with the amount of time. Let's be mindful with the amount of time.
My bad. I was just saying.
I'm talking.
You're trying to be defensive.
Oh no! Don't. It's not about being defensive because a lot of people have made that argument that Magri is a better hold-up player, and this one goes to you, Ajab.
True, but we saw it.
A better hold-up player, and that Eta Eyong physically also is a better hold-up player, and that those players could have started ahead of Kofane in that game against Morocco because Kofane was lightweight. He actually did nothing. Most of the time we saw he was actually just picking himself up off the ground. Of course, at age 19, you don't put such weight on the young Kofane, especially against a team like Morocco, where we knew that Cameroon was going to suffer. I mean, do you buy that argument that maybe Magri, who is 24, mature, better experience, could have started ahead of a guy like Kofane?
No, Kofane deserves to start against Morocco. I think if they say they would have made the substitution earlier, yes. But to start, I think Kofane deserves that starting spot, that starting place. Like Trey said, Kofane offers a lot. The runs he makes, he's good with the ball. Things which is missing with Eta Young and is missing with Magri. What sometimes, like you say, you have nothing to lose. I think when Morocco scored the second goal about the 72nd minute or something, right? Maybe what the coach would have done at that point was instead of taking out Kofane and bringing in Eta Young, he would have maybe swapped Kofane and one other person and bring in Magri and Eta. Yeah, the semi-finals. It's not like you have a home and away game. You rather lose 4-0 or you find a way to get back into the game. So that's what I would have done. But to me, I think Kofane deserves to start. He earned his spot from the even the Ivory Coast game. He didn't score. He scored against Mozambique, and then he scored again against South Africa. And he offers a lot to the game. He's good with the ball. He makes a lot of runs. When he's on the pitch, he gives more options to the midfielders or the defenders, even for the long balls. He gives them more options than what Carl or Magri will give them. I know we'll talk about the physicality, but it's not just all about physicality, So I think maybe the sub would have happened earlier, maybe about the 60th minute, but not that they would have started ahead of. I don't think they deserve to start ahead of Kofane.
Okay, I know Ajab, you are the guy, you are the actually the history guy, right? You're the guy with data. But I like actually I like being fair in some arguments, right?
Yeah.
Now we don't have enough data
Mm-hmm.
to judge Pago with maybe
Yes.
Rigobert song, with maybe Mark Brace, because he's played only 4 games, right?
5.
He's played 5,
Yes. Three.
three.
Yeah. Three group stage, then round of 16 and quarterfinals. Yeah.
Okay, so he's played 5 games. Do you know what was Song's record after 5 games, or what was Mark Brace's record after 5 games?
I can't remember, but I don't want to use. I won't use that. The reason being that the games are not the same. Pagu's
Okay,
5 games are competitive, like actual competition. The other ones could be qualifiers and things like that. So I don't really want to use that to compare their records after 5 games, because Pago was at 5 games at 5 competitions, like group stage, round of 16, quarterfinals. The other ones could be qualifiers. I know Mark Breeze won his first game against Cape Verde. I think he tied with
4-1.
Angola, and then played again against, I don't know, Namibia or whoever, Kenya or something. He had a good record. His first 5 games, I think he had about
Okay,
4 wins and a tie, or 3 wins and 2 ties, or something like that.
okay. So let me ask you this, right?
Mhm.
Because for me, I think that if you go deep, right, if you want to analyze the game and if you want to see how the coaches have done, qualifiers is different
Mhm. Yes,
in the sense that you basically have about a week or maybe a couple of days to train,
yes.
and then you travel,
Mhm.
and then you change environments.
Mhm.
So I will not qualify. I will not actually compare a coach that goes through qualifiers as opposed to a coach that is in a competition where most of the time the players are stationary. If you look at the quality of pitches that they are playing in Morocco, it's better than the quality of pitches that we went and play maybe against Cape Verde and stuff like that. So all
Yes,
those things count, and also based on administration. Okay, you see, in a game against Eswatini, we were in South Africa 24 hours before the game, enough players to rest and all that. So for me, those things are not comparable, although we do compare such things, because most of the times we don't take into account in these factors, all these factors that actually affect the game. But let's forget about that. Let's talk really about the game against Morocco. Where do you think Cameroon actually failed? Let's start with you, Ajab.
okay. Um, Cameroon's game all through the AFCON, if we'll be honest or objective with ourselves, Cameroon all through the competition, they were not able to make 5 or 6 successful advanced passes. So Cameroon was focused. Cameroon, what the Frenchman said, point four was the intensity. They played a game with high intensity, like they press high intensity, but they can't make those passes. They'll make 1, 2, and then long passes, right? From what I noticed, maybe Pago is trying to build a team that will be focused on transitional play. So they make 1, 2 long passes, and the focus was intensity. They now met a Moroccan team that could match the intensity and is better with the ball and more experienced than them. So that's when they went. That's how they got flat. And then at that point, that's when maybe the coach would have tweaked a few things, because he kept maintaining the same intensity. But Morocco, because if you play in a game and the opponent is winning all the second balls, there's no way you can't cope. You can't cope. And Morocco won every second ball, and they were technically better, physically better. So they had to dominate the game. I think they were just not clinical enough, Morocco, because they were actually dominating the game. Even though when you go to stats, it says Cameroon had the possession, but the possession was like Koto giving the pass to Chair giving it back to Koto, and Koto giving it to Avom giving it to Baliba, not actually threatening. Because, like I said, I was telling someone after the game, Bono, the keeper of Morocco, might use the same jersey next game, because he might use the same jersey against Nigeria, because there was nothing. He did nothing. The only time he actually touched the ball was when they had to do the back kicks. He actually didn't make any save or any dive or anything. So, yeah, so dominating ball position without us even noticing who. At some point, someone was asking me, Nabono the cash for Morocco today? Yeah, so, so things like that. So, I just think it's because Cameroon's game is intensity. all through this AFCON was intensity. They made a team that could match the intensity and was better with the ball and better without the ball than them. So that's how they got caught off guard and they couldn't adjust to that. And why another reason they couldn't adjust to that is what I mentioned earlier. We don't have a good bench. We don't have players from the bench who can come in and change the game. Each time we made changes against Gabon was to bring Kemen, who is more physical, for Namaso to seal the midfield. Against Ivory Coast, they brought in Basogok because this guy already had an early yellow Chamado, and they were scared that he could get a red. So they brought him in because they had no actual replacement for him at right back. And then against Mozambique, they made those changes. Buemo had to play as a right wing back against Mozambique. And then against South Africa, so against South Africa, we had to bring in Wu, we had to bring in Boyomo to play as a midfield. So we don't have those players who could come in. Okay, look like, for example, let me deviate a little bit. Nigeria is leading 2-0 today against Algeria. 69th minute of play. You take off a defensive midfielder and you bring in an attacker. That's how a coach, that's how you know you trust even the players on the bench. You're taking off a defensive midfielder. In most or every case, it should be the reverse. You take off a midfielder and you take off an attacker and bring in a defensive midfielder to seal the midfield and kill the game. But Eric Chell did the opposite because he knows he has that bench. Those at the bench are as good as those on the pitch. And so I think that's what happened in the game Cameroon versus Morocco.
Okay, well, Tres Catos, I'm going to ask you a little bit different. I'm going to put a different spin on that on that question. What do you think Pago could have done in order to create? Because we have seen that. Let me give you these stats. Maybe it's going to help you. And Ajap has already spoken on that. When it comes to passing in the African Cup of Nations, there are 24 teams, right? Cameroon was actually ranked 22 when it comes to passing, which means even the center forwards you're talking about, the guys like Kofane that can make, a difference, they are not getting service. So what do you think Pago could have done differently since Morocco had cut off the channel to go to Baleba? Baleba was isolated, Mbeumo was isolated. What else do you think Pago could have done in this game or done differently against Morocco? You're on mute. Trace, you're on mute.
Oh, yeah. So this is just going to be my opinion because, again, I would defer to statistics to guys like Ajap or Awa if he was on here that can actually talk on strategy. But in my opinion, I think that a coach should be able to read a game and say, this is the plan that we came in, but it's not working. I used to, growing up in the Southwest, I used to be fascinated about Southwest football when I didn't grow up there. I went to school there. And they used to have this coach. He was, I don't know if it was René Sadi. Was he René Sadi? Jean-Pierre Sadi. Yeah, and when I went to school in the Southwest, guys who used to be like, Sadi would just come and do something like this and the game would change, right? So I had never seen it. So I would just imagine what it meant, right? Because when Southwesterners try to describe a game, it is fascinating, right? They'll just be like, he would do some, right, and the game. I'm a kid in Form 3, Form 4, and I'm. They don't at the time. I don't think that they really understood French, but anyway, Ajab, you will know these things because you watch those games. I had really never grew up watching those games, so I was just hearing. So changing the game, that's the strategy. The tactical formation should be an ongoing something, right? And I don't know if it was you, Ajab, or it was you, True Lion, that said that the coach of South Africa had a different lineup at every game. I don't know if it was one of your shows. You did say that.
Yeah.
That it was that when he's going into a game, he has already understood the opponent and he has a different lineup for that opponent, right? You cannot just play the same lineup over and over and over again when there's a tactical coach across you that's going to read your play and understand that your game goes through Baleba. And if we take Baleba out, you don't have no game. And if we take Baleba out, as a tactical coach, you should be able to make that adjustment. You should be able to say, okay, how do we adjust this way? How do we adjust this way? How do we change? I can't do the back three no more because my flow of game is going, it's not flowing the way I wanted. Let's drop into a back four. Let's drop into a back five. Let's do something different that's going to throw them off. It's going to take them at least 15 minutes to readjust to what we are doing. The way we adjusted to South Africa, the analyst on the Cameroon on CRTV said we took 15 minutes when South Africa was pressing. We were trying to understand what South Africa was doing. And once we were able to understand what they were doing, we were able now to, but all Ajab said was that we were able to bring intensity to them, and that's how we were able to score those goals. So for me, the coach was not able to adjust. And I'm hoping, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him grace here that he's learning. It's a learning process, right? That he has to be able to adjust. And to your other question that you said that maybe he was not the one who drew this list, because, and I'm hoping that he didn't draw this list, because the one player that he had to call, he called somebody from Brazil. So if we had let him draw his list, I don't know who he would have called. So, hey, it's a good thing he didn't have to draw that list. Let's not wish that he had drawn that list.
But at least he called Che Malone. If you're gonna say he called Che Malone.
Well, when Che Malone was called in, I watched Che Malone in that game against Jamaica when Jamaica came and played Cameroon.
World Cup.
Yeah, World Cup qualifiers, right?
No, World Cup friendly before the World Cup.
Friendly, yeah. It was Lea, because it was not really the.
Yeah, they fielded in just home-based players and then plus Abubakar, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I saw him play. He played really good. I started rooting. I was hoping that he would go to Europe, but he ended up with my other team in Tanzania. And I watched him play. I was hoping that he would go. He didn't go. He's in Algiers. I'm hoping that this Nations Cup give him a flow out there. But back to your point, that guy from Brazil that the coach called, don't wish. We hope. Let's not go back. Let's not go back there. Let me let everyone carry on. Truly.
Well, let me read actually a statement from someone who actually commented on YouTube. He said Cameroon versus Morocco was a very physical game, and the Moroccan outplayed Cameroon physically. That was surprising, given that Cameroon is always known for its physicality. I think basically that was one of the places where the ref also dropped the ball, because there were some physical challenges, especially on Kofane and Etai Young, that involved elbows. And in my opinion, that should have drawn a card, because that was more than just physicality. And I think that's where the ref actually controlled the game in that aspect. But enough about Cameroon, because we have a lot of football. I want to talk about Nigeria. I want to talk about Egypt. I want to talk about what other team? Senegal. I want to talk about, what's the last team again?
Morocco.
So we have Morocco. I want to talk about those matchups coming up. Okay. So we're looking at a Nigerian team. And one of the things that have really, really disappointed me about Nigeria, when I watched them, because I had them as one of my favorites, right, in the last African Cup of Nations, and the way Ivory Coast actually dominated and beat them in that finals, I was actually disappointed. Then I followed Nigeria again in the game against Congo, when I realized that Osimhen, I said Osimhen, and my sister was like, stop calling him Osimhen, he's Osimhen. So Osimhen actually was taken out on the halftime. And then Nigeria actually went, like, just did not play anything. So I was really disappointed. But however, time makes a lot of difference. The way Nigeria is playing at this World Cup, African Cup of Nations, they are growing with confidence. They have lots of firepower, and they're not afraid. They don't mind. They don't care who you are. They come and impose their game. And I made a top 5 about a week ago, and the only team that's not there is Congo DR, because they were knocked off by Algeria. However, my top 5, my power 5, are the teams that are actually in the semifinals. Who do you think in both?
+1. Who's the other one? There are 4 teams in the semifinals. So who's the 5th one?
No, I think the only team that fell off is Congo DR. I had my top 5, right? My top 5 included Egypt, Nigeria, Senegal, and
Morocco and Congo.
And then
Congo DR. So Congo DR is the only team that has fallen off. So in both encounters, in both games coming up, Nigeria versus Morocco. Ajab, how do you see this game?
It's gonna be a very good encounter. Both teams are they're good physically, and they're good with the ball. They can play football. So it's not going to be that game where you'll be thinking one team is gonna sit back and expect the other team to attack, and then we hit them on counter. It's going to be a game where both teams are going to come out to play. So it's going to be a very exciting game. But I'm leaning towards Nigeria. When this tournament started, after Nigeria beat Tunisia 3-2, I went on my page and I said Nigeria is going about his business quiet, and people came and said, Nigeria never played no Mae when they meet them, and all that. Now they're making it their top four. They've scored 14 goals in the competition. They haven't conceded in the knockout stage. They haven't conceded. They've scored 6 goals. So they're looking like favorites. But that's one thing that I also love about this AFCON. We haven't had any clear-cut favorites. We have 8 teams that qualified for the quarterfinals. And I told someone that the 8 teams that made it to the quarterfinals, you can just add Congo Democratic and send those teams to go represent Africa at the World Cup, because, yeah, those are good 9 teams that could represent the continent. Nigeria and Morocco are 2 teams that also can get results from those on the bench. So that's the problem. You see, Nigeria played the 3rd game against Uganda with 9 changes. They were able to convincingly beat Uganda by 3 goals. You have this guy Onyedika, who is a bencher for Nigeria national team, but he plays the Champions League every year for Club Brugge. That's the kind of bench you need for your team. And you have Eric Chell, the coach, who is a very flexible guy. He started the first game with the traditional 4-4-2. He noticed it wasn't working. He came on the second day, brought in an additional defensive midfielder so that Iwobi could have a more flexible role. Things have changed since then. Morocco, I will not ignore Morocco. I'm not Regragui is the coach of Morocco, right? And he's someone who's also a firm believer in physical football. Even though he has players who are very good with the ball, but he focuses more on the physical part of the game. So it's going to be a good game. For some reason they will be losing. They will be missing Unai for the entire competition. That's also someone who's also very good. Would have been a very good matchup with against Iwobi, the midfield, to see who's going to dominate the midfield. Amrabat has not been himself for a while now. Even when he came in against Cameroon, you could see that he's still lacking. But I think Nigeria will win the game. It's going to be a tough game, but I think I see Nigeria winning that game.
Yeah, someone was asking me to talk about the chaos in Nigeria, there was almost like a fight. I think Crystal is the one asking me about that. Did any of you guys actually follow those incidents? I don't actually.
Yeah, it was just Victor Moses. Was Victor Simon the left
Victor Moses?
Oh no, Simon, Moses Simon,
Moses Simon, right?
Moses Simon, yeah.
He took the ball out there, and then it was a frustration. Like Algeria players were just frustrated. It was just born out of that frustration that they could not control the game, and anger just blew out when he fell out there, and then I think he pushed one of the Algerian guys. The reserve players that were warming up jumped into the field, and it was just that. It was really nothing but frustration. They're dominating you in every space, winning you 2-0. You have no breathing room. You're seeing stars. The next set of action is that you're gonna try to fight. It's just football.
They just being Algerians anyway, because that's what they do.
Exactly, right. But they met the wrong set of people because they want
that's
to fight
what they do.
Nigerians too. So hey.
Yeah. So I mean, Tres, who do you favor in that matchup? I know. Or let me not actually ask you the same question, because I know you're gonna talk about everybody sold on Nigeria. Talk about.
I am not sold on Nigeria. Sorry.
Okay, so answer the same question.
I'm a fan of Morocco. I want them. They've played amazing football, and I followed Regragui since when he was with his local club, local team coach in Morocco there, and I like that progression, which is something that in Cameroon we lack. Process. A coach starts here and then walks their way. You could see the progress. You could see what they have done, and you could follow them. We don't have that in Cameroon. In Morocco, you could see that. So, and you were saying something about physicality earlier. these North African countries have also learned that to play with the sub-Saharan Africans, you have to be physical. They have only included that in their game. They were already good with the ball. They've already included. So now some African countries are now, they're already physical. Now they're adding the element of being good with the ball, which Cameroon is really not doing. So it's just all physical, but without the ability to control the ball. So for the games coming up, finals, that tells you how far African football has come, right? From the quarterfinals, those games at the quarterfinals could have been any finals, and we would have still had a good game, right? Some games were drop balls, like everybody was expecting Algeria to show up, and they did not. So for this game, my guy, Brahim Diaz, who I'm hoping can come to Tottenham, who I'm hoping can we need him badly in Tottenham. He's gonna score a goal. He's Monsieur Mbu per match. This is his tournament. I don't see Nigeria stealing his tournament away from him. Morocco needs to do what Morocco does. Ajap already broke this game down, but it's going to come down to the coaches. Who is going to be able to outcoach the other coach? The players are already there. The talent is already there. But so we cannot, it needs now one coach to outcoach the other coach, because we're not talking about talent anymore. We're not talking about quality. We're talking about tactics. Who is going to change something in the second half? Who is going to be that last little tweak? Because they have depth on the bench. Both teams have depth on the bench. Both teams have, okay, Nigeria does not have a good goalkeeper. Morocco has the current best goalkeeper in Africa. So Morocco is stack pack complete. Nigeria has a weakness. They've really never tested Wabali, because Kevin Bassett does everything. He just skips everything. Nothing.
He's a monster. He's a monster.
He is a beast.
Yeah.
Kevin Bassett is a beast.
Yeah.
He does that and doesn't take a yellow card.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a bully that does not take a yellow card. I marvel when I watch him play. I'm like, how does this guy not get it? He is a bully.
Yeah,
right? No card, right? So now it's going to be a physical game. It's going to be a beautiful game, but it's going to be tactical mastery. If you're somebody that wants to enjoy a tactical game, that's the game that you should look out for. Egypt, Senegal.
No. Hold up. We haven't gotten to Egypt, Senegal
we haven't
yet.
gotten to that. So for me, I'm going to side again with my Morocco. I'm going all the way with Morocco on this one. I have a soft spot for the country. I love them. I've been there. I visited. So I love them. So my card is on Morocco all the way. I want them to win. It's been, 50 years, man. Come on now. Come on. Let them have something. Let them have one extra star. No, they won in 1940. When did they last win?
1976?
1976.
76.
So, yeah. So it's been 40-something years that they haven't won. Yeah, so...
Yeah, 49. It's going to be 50 next year. Wow.
So, bruh, man.
No, 50 this year. 50 this year.
50 this year. Yeah. So things that we take for granted, right? See how priceless is it for them. So I think they're deserving. And for those infrastructure, I think they're deserving to get it, man.
Okay, well, this is what I actually think of this game, right? It's going to be that midfield dominance. And when I look at Frank Onyeka, I look at Ndidi, I look at Iwobi, my player of the tournament. Nigeria doesn't only have one element that dominates the midfield. Of course, Morocco has Brahim Diaz. When you look at the guys like El Kanouche is not physical. You look at Anyawi, I think he's not. Then Ismail. On the Nigerian three midfielders that I've just called, they're going to dominate Morocco. Believe me or not, this game will basically end about 3-1, because when I look at the coaching, right, I look at Moroccan coach. For me, I know you guys are saying Morocco is physical. Morocco, for me, is not that physical. The ref let them be physical without punishing them. You know, it was elbows and all that. Against Nigeria, they will not be able to use that approach, because Nigeria can basically deny them the ball. Okay, and I'm making it's like a sales pitch that I'm making, right, for you to change your mind. Trace 14. by the time that game actually starts, because I don't want you to be embarrassed, because will be one of the semi-finals where there will be no opponent on the other side. Because if you look at Cameroon, Morocco was shaking because they knew that Cameroon was a team that's gonna do. That's why they used all type of tactics. They were elbowing and all that. Against Nigeria, that would not actually happen because guess what? Nigeria doesn't only have that midfield presence. They don't only have Bassi at the back. Of course, Morocco has a very good defense. If you go by paper and you look where they actually play, from PSG to AS Roma to, if you look where they actually
Man
play,
United to Marseille.
exactly, they are star-studded. That's a star-studded team. However, have you seen Victor Osimhen, bro? Did you see I think only Oman Biik, the only player I've seen head the ball better than is only Oman Biik, where Oman Biik spent about how many seconds he spent in the air?
El Nesri. You remember El Nesri's goal against Portugal at the World Cup, man?
Oh yeah, he went also high, but maybe Imam El Nesri, that header was also dope. But Osimhen remind me of David Platt. You remember that goal against
Yeah. The goal he scored today was very similar to the goal Platt called Kono in the 1990s.
And what about the cross?
From Bruno Onyemichi, very good left back.
Imagine that Cameroon had the Nigerian left backs that they had and were playing that high in that 3-5-2. I mean, the Nigerians are so good on the ball. Their first touch, second touches, their passes, their confidence, each and every one of them is comfortable on the ball. So I don't see Morocco actually.
It's gonna be a tough game. You're making it sound like it's gonna be a walk in the park. No, it's gonna be a tough
game.
Bro,
I am telling you, I'm ready to put my money.
I know the Moroccan defenders bully the Cameroonian attackers, but they can't do that to Osimhen or Ako Adams.
They cannot.
They can't. I know.
Bro, yeah, it's gonna be 3-1.
Okay.
I'm even giving you the score. It's gonna be 3-1. Cheat sheet. I'm giving you a cheat sheet.
No, 3-1. I know. I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards Nigeria, but I know it's not gonna be as easy as you're making it to look like.
Bro, it's gonna be 3-1.
I watched Nigeria play today. Anybody that loves war needs to be scared of Nigeria. All I thought about when I watched Nigeria is like the World Cup is really gonna miss this team. Yes. It was an amazing team that played today, and I was like, my God, I wish we could trade some of these teams, right?
No, but the World Cup is not gonna miss them, because I keep saying this, and that's why I'm hard on Cameroon as well. Football is not only about the players on the field. Football is about administrators, the scouting, the doctors, the people doing the data analysis. Because I was having this conversation, right, with you guys know our mama is a Spurs fan, just like a Tres.
Yeah, I know him.
And then we were talking about the selection and all that, the players and all that, and he was blaming the guys who do analytics, that they are the ones who actually did not get the right amount, the right type of players to actually fit in the type of football that we actually play, or they don't actually read, what is going on. I mean, the game modules that maybe Morocco is actually using, and help the coach in order to counterattack. Because the truth is that we can sit down here comfortably and see what is wrong in a game. But try doing that while standing up. You are the coach. You are the sideline. There's pressure coming from all way. You have a million things running in your mind. Guess what? It's your assistants, okay? And your analysis guys that pull your attention. And that's why I've always said this. As soon as the federation refused for Mark Brees' assistant to sit on the bench, guess what? He's already working with his hands tied behind his back. Because when he needs to make decisions, there's no one over there too. So Nigeria actually brought this over to themselves, right? They were the ones who hired someone who could not actually coach, Finidi,
Yeah.
And then the first 4 games and all that, Nigeria played 4 games and got how many points?
5 points.
5 points in the first 4 games.
Yes, and then Eric Chell came and gave them 11 out of 15 points.
Exactly. So we have to understand that football is not only about the 24 or 26, 28 players. It's also about the scouts. It's also about administration. It's also about good traveling. And that's why Nigeria and Cameroon are not going to the World Cup. It's not because we had only bad coaches. We need to understand that. That's what football is all about. The whole organization. If everyone is not working and looking into one direction, it's not going to work. So let's talk about Senegal and Egypt. Egypt, for me, is just like Cameroon. Egypt is very clinical, in my opinion. In Look at the way Egypt play. They were looking at the Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is a little bit excited. They know that they have some good players. They are not really disciplined, and bam, Egypt hit them corner on that corner kick goal. But what intrigues me again is I think it's a third goal. Look at
Yeah,
how
the outside kick. Yeah.
yeah, but look at the goal that went to the guy who provided the assist to Mo Salah.
Uh-huh.
Did you see that the Ivorian defense was not in good shape when they were carrying the ball? They were a little bit disorganized, and then they left space. That's why they were able to, when there was a turnover, Egypt already knew what they were gonna do, and then Mo Salah, positioning wise and all that. I mean, what do you guys actually make about this game coming up, Egypt versus Senegal? Because Senegal for me was one of my top teams, but when I saw the way Senegal actually played against Mali with 10 men, I started thinking, I was disappointed. I started thinking, if they go and play like that against Egypt, I bet you Mo Salah will be in the finals. What do you think about that, Ajab?
Egypt is a classic example of a team that gets better after every game. If you watch the first game against Zimbabwe and then you watch the game against South Africa, the third game I won't really consider that because they did those. They had to rest some players and all that. And then you see against Benin and then now against Ivory Coast, you see that every game, Hossam Hassan adds something new to the game. So and we know they have the most AFCON titles, so it's not a fluke that they're in the semis, right? So, but I know Senegal didn't have a good game against Mali, despite Mali had playing 10 for the entire second half, or even towards the close of the first half and the entire second half. But Senegal is one of those teams, just like Nigeria and Morocco, with the perfect bench. Senegal has scored 5 goals from the bench. That means they've had benches. 5 goals have been scored from benches. So that's how good the team is. You have people like Lamine Camara, who was the highlight of last AFCON. He's not a starter right now. You understand? You have people like Pap Matassa, who plays almost all the time for Tottenham. He's not a starter. He's barely played for Senegal. That's how good the Senegal team is, So yeah, so I won't write off Senegal based on how they played against Mali. No 2 games are the same because they have those weapons. And I will never ignore the role Sadio Mane is playing. He may not be scoring goals, but he's doing something. The way he plays for Senegal is completely different. And even Iliman Ndiaye, who plays for Everton, he's had an excellent season so far with Everton, and he's replicating it at the national team level.
That guy's a baller.
Yeah, he's a baller. The only thing that Senegal is missing, they don't have a good striker. I thought Nicolas Jackson stepped up his game. But after the first game against Botswana, when he scored 2 goals, I was like, "Ooh, this guy could end up scoring 5 goals or 6 goals this AFCON." And since then, he's not scored again. The last game, he didn't even make the bench. So I don't know exactly what's happening. I don't know if it's disciplinary issues or he's just not good enough because they went to the AFCON with 4 strikers. Yeah, they went to the Nations Cup with 4 strikers.
Wonders.
Yeah, so Senegal, they do have a good team. They have a good bench. And maybe the issue may be the coach. He's not a bad coach, but maybe tactically he may not be that sound. But Senegal, I like the way they do their stuff. The way Senegal is, I was discussing with someone the other day. If Cameroon could replicate that, it would be good. Because what's happening with Senegal is right now they're already grooming the next person who's going to be the coach. They might maybe make him the coach of the U23 or the U20, groom him up. So by the next 4 or 5 years, by the time he's coach, he must have worked with most of the guys who are now at the national team. So I was telling someone that now is the time for the federation to start looking for who is going to replace Pago eventually, if it's in the next 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years. So that by the time Pago is leaving or for whatever reason, that shouldn't be when they start looking for who's going to replace him. So that's what they've been doing. Cisse was U23. He got promoted to the national team coach. When he became national team coach, the current coach was a player too. He played with them in the 2002 World Cup. He was appointed as a U23 coach after he was coaching the U20. And then when Cisse's contract expired, he was appointed a head coach. So that's something. So he's been with the guys for a while. Maybe tactically he's not good, but football sometimes, some people say football is not all about tactics. If you know how to
Man management.
Like you mentioned, man management. Like you mentioned about Pagu. Sometimes Pagu might decide not to put any tactical information in the players, but just the way he talks to them, they go and they transmit it. And it happened even at Manchester United, where some of the players used to say tactically, Alex Ferguson wasn't that good, but he knew how to instill confidence. He could call Welbeck and tell Welbeck that you're better than Rooney. Get into the pitch and give me those results. They get into the pitch and they give you the results. So maybe that's what's happening with Senegal, but I think it's gonna. And look at it. I think Senegal is gonna beat Egypt.
Okay. What about you, Trace?
For me, we're going against a team that is disciplined and a team that is talented. Senegal is very talented. And I think that when I looked at, I think their last friendly game against, was it Brazil?
Yes, Brazil.
It was Brazil, right? And I said to myself that I don't think that Senegal is ready for the World Cup. I think that the back line was a little older, had gone a little older, and they need to start phasing out those older players, but they also need experience. Because when I looked at that game, I was not convinced. And again, in this World Cup, they have won their games, but for me, they have not stamped their authority. Because a team like Senegal, with the kind of players they have, they need to stamp their authority. When they win you, you need to know that Senegal has won you, right? And they're struggling to beat 10-man Mali. They're passing here, struggling here. It's a team that is overly dependent on talent. And sometimes when you have so much talent and you don't have structure around that talent, you have things like Senegal, you have things like Ivory Coast. So those teams that are just riding the wave of talent. Then you have teams like Egypt that are structural. Hossein is able to change things tactically, strategically. They are producing. They can go from the board to the field. Whatever was drawn on the board inside the dressing room can be replicated on the field. So because Mo Salah, you would argue that is the most talented player, but you don't really see it. They'll be talking about Trezeguet. They'll be talking about somebody else that is doing stuff, but Mo Salah is just passing behind the scene and doing what. But that's the most talented player, but he's not the most seen. But in the other teams, we're focused on the most talented players, and then we're not seeing the results. So when you're going against a team like Egypt, that is disciplined, is resolute. Egypt does not concede. This is the highest goal that they scored, taken 2 goals, right? They're not a team that takes a lot of goals in, right? So Senegal has now shown that against a team like Egypt, they're going to be able to score 2 or 3 goals. Egypt is going to score. Maybe the game might end up tying and they go to penalties. And Egypt, I don't know if they have an edge, but Senegal needs to look for its form. Senegal needs to look for its tactical ability and stop overly depending on its talent, because it's not going to carry you over the top, right? So for me, this is going to be a tough one to call, because apart from that, Senegal still has a good defense and that they can hold their own. So it might end up a tie, 0-0, 1-1, because Senegal is going to score. Egypt too is going to score. Thing is, it might be a tie, and then it might go to penalties, and then I don't know either ways. Mendy might save. El Shaarawy might also save. I don't know. So for me, I'm hung on this particular game. It's going to be like a tie.
Okay. When I beat the data, right, and I look at stats, for me, defense wins titles. Okay. You might, and when I talk about defense, it's not necessarily having the best goalkeeper, right? Because your defense can actually protect your goalkeeper, as in the case with Nigeria. And when I look, yeah, he's one of the worst goalkeepers actually in the African Cup of Nations all around.
Nwabali.
Yeah?
Nwabali.
Yes,
Nwabali, yeah.
Yes, he's one of the
worst.
He
plays with cheaper. I mean,
yeah,
like seven
I don't understand. Nigeria has this guy. He's good. The first keeper for Udinese in the Italian league. They don't call him.
No, but he said. I heard what's his name? Sunday Olise talking about him. He gave there was a statement he made. He said, if he's coming, they must guarantee that he plays.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he did not come. He said he is not coming to sit on the bench.
Yeah, because the last time he was the qualifiers, they called him up all the time and he was on the bench. Because
yeah,
Nwabali shouldn't be the first keeper for a country like Nigeria.
So he said if he is coming, they have to guarantee him a spot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but I think he also had a bad, some bad games with Nigeria, and that's why he was actually relegated to the bench. But I think from what Sunday Olise was saying is that, of course, keepers can have bad moments and all that, but he thinks the guy has risen above those mistakes where he has to be the starter. However, you know how football sometimes is. If the guys or the big guys in the national team are comfortable with Mwaba, they're gonna back him all day, and maybe that's why he's still a goalkeeper. However, I also heard that there's a Nigerian who plays second division, an English guy. He was born in England and all that. He is about to change his nationality and maybe take over that number one shirt for Nigeria. Okay. When we look at the defenses, right? Best defense so far, the fewest amount of goals considered is Morocco. Oh wow, Morocco has considered only one goal.
Yes, I keep telling you. Yeah, here telling
Four
me.
clean sheets.
Yeah, Morocco is considered one, Senegal two. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, but
And
Nigeria is gonna put three behind three. And the best scoring teams, okay, Nigeria has 14 goals, and that's why I'm saying Nigeria is gonna put three. Senegal 11 and Ivory Coast 10. Well, Ivory Coast is no longer there. Then Morocco has 9. Yeah. Egypt has 9. Morocco ain't gonna score. If they score against Nigeria, it's gonna be just one miserable goal, because I really believe that Nigeria, first of all, has a better coach. I believe that Nigeria has a better all-around play. And then
excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. What are you basing that on? Regragui just came back from the semifinals of the World Cup. What are you basing that Nigeria has a better?
So do you think because Regragui just came from the semifinals of the World Cup, I'm gonna take that old stall data and compare? Yes. I'm talking about these African competitions.
Morocco under Regragui last lost the game in March of 2023.
Yeah, but that's my opinion. I'm looking.
After that World Cup, after the World Cup, they were eliminated by South Africa at the round of 16 in the last AFCON, 2-0. So, you understand. The last AFCON, they were eliminated by South Africa, 2-0 in the round of 16.
Okay, but Charles was not able to qualify Mali.
I'm not accepting that Charles is a better coach. I'm just saying we should not use
my assessment, right?
I was just trying to ration. I don't know what you're basing on that. They have a better coach.
But you know how I go about things. I go about what I see. I go about the way I appreciate football and stuff like that.
Okay, the way you appreciate football, that makes sense. But not stats. Stats, he's not coming close to Regragui.
But stats should not be used in isolation. We use stats in order to help us understand the game, but not in isolation. So I cannot only look at stats and say, okay, the coach of Morocco is the best because he went for he took the team to semifinals. Okay, Valerio Neponachi was the best coach because he took Cameroon to the to quarterfinals of World Cup.
Who are you comparing him to?
Well, if I compare him with the other coaches that went to that World Cup,
then he's better than them now. He took them there. If that's the comparison now, then he's better. I mean, what else?
Okay, Pagu is better than Hugo Bros because he actually beat Hugo Bros.
No, Hugo Bros won a World Cup, a Nations Cup with Cameroon. You can't compare Pagu with Song.
When I'm doing this analysis,
Pagu is better than Song now.
Exactly, that's how you compare. You say
no, I'm limited. No, I will not even compare. This is what I've said, right? I cannot even compare Pagu yet with Song because Pagu has not played elimination. Elimination games.
That's a fair point. Yeah,
there's not enough data to even for me to assess Pagu. Pagu has coached 5 games. Song coached for 2 years.
Right. I mean, he will come off as a caretaker coach, right? Like we just put him in place to go. So yes, it will need time to assess him and the pressure of going to play in another country and coming to play in Yaoundé, because playing in Yaoundé it has its own pressure. So
and then also the fact that you when players are called up, maybe you train with some for 2 days, train with another one just for 1 day, and then you play the next day. Those things are gonna have a very huge role to play in the coaching. It's not just the tactics on the pitch, you know.
Yep.
And now that everybody knows that all he has to offer is 3-5-3-5-1. As soon as they sort that lineup out, he is done. Let him just know that he has to be adjusting. So call him up. He's your friend. So call him up. Tell him that he needs to adjust, because anything you just say, this is how the man is set up. Let's block him this way, and he's finished. And they'll fire him before he next.
The expectations are high too, now. The expectations are really high. Yeah.
Yes. Because people have seen what they're performing, right? They're gonna say you lost to the host nation and you were playing with a team that was just so the bias. And Cameroonians, they just go from the ground into the sky. They don't even put it somewhere and then progressively increase it as they see. They'll just pick it from the ground. They'll not even dust it and just fling in the sky and then leave it up there. And then after that, it will drop back again to the floor.
Yeah. So to conclude, I was trying to talk about, let's say, Chile, in my opinion, is a better coach than the coach of Morocco, based on the games that I've watched in this African Cup of Nations. Because I did my Power 5, right? I did my Power 5 ranking, and some teams actually fell. And when I watched Morocco against Tanzania, for me, that was the game. Morocco against Tanzania. And then I watched Morocco against Cameroon. Yes, they dominated Cameroon, but there was a little bit of help from the ref to control the game physically. Morocco will not have that in the semifinals, because that is now the semifinals, and then it will make no big difference. Eliminating a host team in quarterfinals and semifinals is two different things, So that home field advantage actually counted a lot more against Cameroon, maybe in the quarterfinals. However, this is the semifinals where they will not have, because everyone is already aware that Morocco actually uses, I don't want to say that, but Morocco actually,
benefiting from the refs,
home field advantage. So I believe
add this, that Nigeria struggled against this same Tanzania.
Yeah, the first game. Yeah.
The first game.
So but that's when the coach.
So both
the coach has reverted, right? The coach, ever since then,
just adjusted, right?
Look at your numbers. Just go look at your numbers. The number of goals,
and that's what you said, right? Ajab, that he was able to understand that I need a second defensive midfielder to then free. Because what did I say during that game? I went and looked at the back line of Tanzania. I was like, all of these guys play local. The whole front Nigerian line is about $300 million, right? Those guys, they play in Simba,
young Africans, Azam, yeah.
Shut them out.
But shall we agree? Shall we agree that every team that has made it to this point has struggled in one or two games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morocco struggled against Mali.
I don't know what Egypt struggled against. Who did Egypt struggle against?
They struggled against Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe
against South Africa. Yeah, Egypt struggled against Zimbabwe.
Yeah, to win 2-1. Towards the end of the game.
That South African game, Egypt actually struggled against.
Yeah, but at least South Africa is someone. If you struggle against, it's not straight.
It's not bad. Yeah,
it's not bad.
But struggling against Tanzania. So Nigeria struggled against Tanzania. That tells you that Tanzania just needs to keep doing what they're doing, right?
Exactly.
They just need to keep doing and grow their football, bring more kids into the play, bring more expertise into the game. And if countries like Cameroon are just sleeping and just saying Luhemle, Tanzania will come and pass them and go, right? Because I don't want to hear that stuff, Hemle. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
But True Lion, I said that the last time we talked football after AFCON 2023. I said I don't believe in that word. There's no tactics in football called Hemle. There's no tactics called Hemle. No, I don't believe in that word Hemle. Football, you are a coach. You instill a certain mindset to your players. I want you guys to play low block, high block. I want you guys to play intensity. What's Hemle?
Everybody plays Hemle.
Yes.
Chop fire is in everybody's blood. Who does not want to win? we cannot take chop fire and make it our motto. How can we? How can we?
Oh wow, guys! There's a comment, another comment here by Sanjap Koki. He's actually a Kenyan, and he says he enjoys the knowledge that we actually bring to the game. So he's giving you guys a shout out.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Thank God.
We're coming to Kenya in 2 years.
In 2 years.
I don't even know if Kenyans. I don't know why they. I don't know. I've always wondered. Right?
You didn't know about the Kenyan that played for Inter Milan? You don't know him?
No, we've had Kenya. We had a Kenyan in Tottenham, right?
Tottenham.
So, yes, you want to talk about it?
And it's his brother. Yeah, he's the guy. The guy. Wanyama's brother is the one who played for Inter.
Okay, so Wanyama was a beast. We called him the tank.
Yeah, right? No, Wanyama was solid. He was solid.
But look at where Tanzania is. Look at where Uganda is. These are the neighbors. These are the people that are going to host.
And Kenya. And Kenya also.
But Kenya is not there. Kenya is not.
I mean, no, Kenya is coming up. Kenya is coming up.
All those
three
countries, they are coming up.
Oh, their leagues. No, I'm telling you that their leagues, they are also coming up. Hey, he talked about Michael Olunga.
Yeah, Olunga. Which Olunga? Okay, no, I'm thinking about someone else.
Mm-hmm.
They have a team, Kenyan Police, I think, that is in the Champions League right now.
Yeah, Kenyan Police is a club.
Yeah.
One of the,
I watched a game or two. This is what I do now. I don't contain myself. If you ask me about Tottenham, I don't even know what's happening with them.
Oh yeah,
Now I want to watch African football.
Tres, we've had this conversation on Facebook when we were so much focusing on the CAF and CAF Champions League. I try to spend my time now focusing more on African football than this bullshit that I want to talk about English Premier League and Champions League and the rest.
Yes, I know there was one day me and you talked about. I said, listen, they were arguing the other day about Chelsea, go up, Chelsea. I was watching Mali play in Algiers. They were wearing gloves because of winter. And that game tied maybe 1-1 or 2. Was that Malian, Stade Malien versus Ida Esperance. It was a cold day in Tunis. Those Malians, all of them, they were covered up with blanket, and I enjoyed that game.
Yeah, because one thing about
I haven't watched any game in the EPL or since the AFCON started. I haven't watched.
Oh no, me
any
I haven't. I try to watch
any game.
Any game is just boring right now, right? So for me, African football, I want to watch Champions League. I want to watch CAF Confederation games. I'm not overpriding myself again about all of this other Arsenal. That's why Arsenal is going to win. So I'm just hating right now. So maybe that's it too.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why this guy Onana is actually huge in East Africa. He's huge in East Africa.
As he played for Manchester United, all of them support Manchester United. You go there.
He's actually huge. The Ugandans actually gave him a standing ovation. But any last words? I mean, for us, I mean,
where do we go from here? Ajab, talk to us. Where does Cameroon go from here? Have we set the bar too high for them? How does the coach?
With maybe the fans, maybe within the fan base, they've set the bar too high. But I think within the team themselves, the players, the coach, they know where they are. But
the president said they are going to win.
That's what I wanted to say. I don't know if what the president said to them that they're going to 2027 to actually win is he actually means what he's saying, or he's just a form of encouragement to let them know that, okay, guys, you guys did your best. You guys should not be so down. You guys should keep it up, because with the way Cameroon played now, I've been saying it, some people don't agree with me. I see that there's something coming up. Maybe not like the best football that are easy on the ice, but I see that Cameroon will be a tough opposition in the future based on the way they're playing, right?
They're gonna need a bench, though.
I have an honest,
no, for sure. 100%.
I have an honest question.
Yes.
I have an honest question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take that Cameroon team that lost to Congo DR against in the World Cup playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if that team came and played the African Cup of Nations with a couple of added guys that we see over here, do you guys think that team would have not made it out of the group? Was that team that bad?
No, I don't think it was that. It wasn't that bad.
They would have made it out, but I don't think they would have gone any further than this team.
Yes, maybe. Yeah, I don't think maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they would have been round of 16.
Yeah,
they would have made it out of the. They would have made it out of the group stage for sure.
So they would have made it out of the group stage. Let's say they finished second or first. Do you think that team could have not beaten a team like South Africa?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking this question is because I think we are overhyping this Cameroon team.
Mhm.
Okay, because when I look at the way we played against Gabon,
Mhm.
it was not convincing. Against Ivory Coast, yes, the guys played with a lot of heart and all that. Against
Intensity.
Mozambique, it was. I think that was a game that we played with most of the created opportunities. We
Yeah,
created a lot.
Your guy played that match now. The guy from Brazil, he played against Mozambique.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
him. I was like, hey, that coach get hot. He put his player. I made a post.
Can them?
I said, this is how I knew Pagu is the owner of that team. He did not only call his Brazil guy, he played him. Because I was seeing one short
So-
guy in the midfield. I was like, who is this? I went to the lineup and I said, Mama mia. The whole that pie skin.
So
So that might have that.
Because
I mean,
the first thing I said, you came from PWD. That's where you are playing a 3-5-1, 2-3-4-2-1-1 lineup, right?
Mhm.
And you come to this level and you decide to just play that lineup. You've never tested it at the international level anywhere to see whether you need to make adjustments. I said that was brave of him, right? And that for me, that's where I started worrying that is it Eto'o that's because I know Eto'o is a micromanager. He is into everything, right? Nobody
yeah,
can convince me about that, right?
because
So like you said, to see a coach come to this level
Yeah,
from an untested league
yeah.
and play all he believes tells that he has some level of bravery that needs to be commended, right? It could be
Yeah.
dumb, it could be it's his idea, it's his ideology, and he's sticking to it, right? And I was impressed. But when he played that his guy, I was like, dude, man, Cafe, I caught you, Cafe, boy. But how did he play? Because I didn't see enough of him to know what. Maybe we didn't give that guy a chance.
let me
Man.
you guys, no. Again. I think Trey
Because I
Songkhla-
like to be fair. I like to be fair, man. Maybe
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
too hard on the guy, man.
while we are fair, I like asking questions because we are saying the level of bravery. He played against Gabon. Where does the coach of Gabon? Where did he coach from? Coach at?
No, we're saying condemn the guy.
No. I understand. I'm asking
Okay,
different
go ahead.
questions.
Yes,
The Gabonese coach,
yes.
where has he coached? Is
No,
in
He has
the
been
let's
with
not
them for a while.
see. True Lion. I'm looking at the competition, not where the coach is. Gabon played the Gabon participated in the playoffs, the World Cup playoffs qualification.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
means they had a good run. So I don't need to know
Of
where he
course.
coached
No,
before.
I'm talking about the African Cup of Nations, right? I'm
Yeah,
talking about
so
the African Cup of Nations
he
because
came to the
they
African
had a
yeah,
good run. They had a good run in the World Cup qualifier.
World Cup qualifiers.
That's totally different.
Yeah, but the bravery of playing against Gabon, your first ever game in the AFCON, you decide to, and you're like Trey said, from an
Man, who's
untested
Gabon,
league.
man? What are you talking about Gabon? Let's talk
Who
about
is
football.
Gabon?
Okay, but he used it against Ivory Coast. Are you going to question Ivory Coast?
Oh
Are
no,
you going to
that's why I
question
said that
Immense
was
Fire
a
as
good team,
well?
right? Did I not
So
say
that's
that
the
was a
bravery as well. So
I
that's the
said that was
bravery
a good
there.
team.
It's not like he only used that setup against. It's not like he used the formation only against Gabon and then switched
No,
against Ivory
no,
Coast.
that's not
What
what
He
I'm
used it
saying.
all
is he
through.
not saying? Did we just dominate Gabon?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did we dominate what?
When you're citing Gabon, did we just blow Gabon off the park? No.
No, but that was what I'm saying. I said, who is Gabon? That's what I'm asking. Who is Gabon?
But what was the difference between us and Gabon in that game? To be able to say who
One
is
goal,
Gabon?
a goal.
Does that mean that we are better than them?
Cameroon normally is better than
Historically,
Gabon.
we are better than them. But when we played that game, it did not show that we were historical giants to them.
Of course, that's why I'm not impressed. But you guys are impressed.
Right. There's a conversation that came up where Gabonese are saying that they need to redevelop their football, restructure their football. It was on the Gabonese page. They said we need to go back and we should copy the model of Cameroon. Gabonese were like held to the no. What? So there's Senegal, there's Morocco, there's Egypt. You people don't say we should copy them. We should go and copy those people in Cameroon, right? They say, but they are our brothers. They're like, no, those people don't know what they're doing. It's just hit and miss.
It's
It was
Hemley.
the most interesting. It's Hemley. It was the most interesting conversations when Cameroonians came. Oh, les Gabon sont jalousie. Les Gabonais sont jaloux. But is it a lie? Who wants to model their football after Cameroon? Who will look at Cameroon and say, let's do what Cameroon is doing? Nobody in their right mind. So Gabon wants to, and they are investing so much money. There are 2 million of them. The whole of Southwest is bigger than Gabon. There are 2 million of them. I don't know that they can get to where they want to go with those numbers, but they might develop somewhere that it would work for them.
I
But
like
I don't think that they should envisage that they can dominate Africa at some point.
I like what we have kept on saying over here, right? The bar as a Cameroonian fan nowadays is so low that any level. 2 years ago, we are saying we're in a rebuilding phase. 2 years after, we're still in a rebuilding phase. So when are we gonna show some progression? Because in me, the only difference between last AFCON and this AFCON is just that Song played Nigeria in the 16 finals, and this time around we played Ivory Coast.
Morocco.
I mean, we played
16 finals. We played South Africa.
South Africa. I'm sorry, this time around we played South
South
Africa in the
Africa,
16
yeah.
finals. I mean, that's one of the differences that I actually see.
No, the difference too is that 7 points in the group stage versus 4 points last time.
Yes, that's a big difference.
Yeah, undefeated.
And not to add something to what you just said, that I think that a lot of fans are also withdrawing from the system because they're beginning to understand that for a country like Cameroon that is overly prioritizing football when there are other values that are more important, they're beginning to pull out from the football scene. That's why when we were seeing games that were happening in Cameroon, I think Cameroon played a game. Can't remember in Yaoundé. It was half empty. Right, fans are not even going to the stadiums again, and that's also because people are saying that we don't have roads, we don't have light, we don't have electricity, we don't have healthcare, football, and when they're hearing that Eto'o is going to get 5 billion to go win a trophy that's 4 billion, it doesn't buy fans. You don't win fans with that kind of narrative. And especially with more fans traveling now. Before, when we were growing up, a lot of Cameroonians did not travel. They didn't go see. You know that most Cameroonians used to think that Ivory Coast was their mate, right? They used to banter. When they went to AFCON, they realized that actually that's actually a developed country, right? And it rang a bell to a lot of Francophones. Francophones are people that are always asleep, right? Most of them woke up, right? They're not going to come out and fight, but they will say things like, maybe football is not really a priority anymore for us, right? And this kind of money that we're wasting, we could put it into. So we're losing funds in that avenue as well. So to your point that it's not about the bar, it's just that some people are just winning out and saying that it's not a necessity.
It's not, yeah.
Football is a luxury. It's a how do you call it? It's entertainment. But you only get to a point of entertainment where you have fulfilled every other.
Yeah,
you cannot be hungry and then football is a priority. That's misplaced priority. And that's where Cameroon is right now.
To add more, I was following a content creator from Nigeria, right? He said, Nigerians, we keep saying we are African giants. He said, lie. I came to Morocco and I now see who the African giant is.
No, he said we're African dwarfs or something.
Yeah. He said he's been to Morocco and he now see who the African giant is. He was traveling and he said, roads on the mountain everywhere. And he was just like, oh no, the Nigerian politicians are actually deceiving them. I mean, that was his experience. And he was so humble in his assertion, and these are the things, because football is bigger. Oh, we almost finished without talking about the Congolese Lumumba,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I mean,
Lumumba,
that was
yeah.
story, right? That was the storyline. And we saw the Adams actually paid his respect.
Paid tribute to him when he scored
exactly
today against
and I
Algeria.
think that's what actually football is psychological. I think that's what actually prompted these Nigerians to just go ahead and disgrace Algeria and tell them that
just beat them severely. Next time,
next time you need to show some respect.
A hero.
Yeah, next time you need to show some respect. And I like the way Algeria and the Algerian FA actually reacted, because they invited him. They apologized. They presented him with jerseys, and I liked the guy because there were some offers on the table for him to stay and enjoy the can. He said no, it's time to go back home. It's time to go back to
I
Congo.
can't wait to see him in the US, man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
yeah,
can't wait.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, that guy
Exactly.
was the highlight. He's the
I'm
highlight.
rooting.
He's the highlight of the competition, man.
Yes, I'm rooting for Congo to
So yeah, no. Yeah,
to come out of their group. So I can't.
And
I think
guys,
it was
let's
based
actually stay
in
in touch.
Houston.
Let's stay in touch because I mean I think there's enough room. I think we can actually get to something as far as doing a podcast because the World Cup is coming. Although Cameroon is not gonna be there, but we
No
still
way
have to
about
represent
Cameroon.
African culture and all that. We're gonna adopt or be adopted by some countries in order to follow to bear the African flag. I think
yeah.
I'm already like
Congo and Morocco counts
I'm
me
South
in.
African already. I'm already like South African. Then of course Congolese because I want to be with my main man. So, but
Ajab
any
is
last word?
probably Cabo Verde. I know you like Cabo.
Yeah, Cabo Verde. Yeah,
Those guys,
Cabo
those,
Verde.
those guys will be disgraced, man.
No problem.
Those guys will be disgraced.
They will bring Portuguese guys that we have never known about. You will see a new team now. Is it
Nah.
that did they not recruit their defender from LinkedIn? They got him from LinkedIn. They will
And
get
say what?
players
It's 6 years. You think anybody's gonna be faced by that? It's 6 months. 6 months out for the World Cup, bro. They're gonna be disgraced. That's when people will know that they did not actually qualify because they were good enough. They qualified because Cameroon was fighting in between themselves.
But Cameroon would not have done any better.
If they were not
No, like
fighting,
Cameroon, even if we were not fighting, we would not have done any better. The
okay.
last time we
let's go
left
for the
a
World Cup.
group was in 1990. Was it 90 or 98?
90.
1990. And before we scored the goal in there's some stats, some interesting stats. Dr. Terence Alba was giving the stat. Ajab, you should know those stats too. Cameroon had gone to 5 World Cups without scoring a goal, correct?
No.
Four.
No.
There
Who
were
can
some
say that?
crazy stats that they
Yeah.
had gone about scoring.
No, but
Winning
20.
a game. Is it winning a game or scoring?
No, it's winning a game. It's winning a game.
Yes, winning a game. They
Yeah,
had
winning a
won-
game. Yeah, because the last time they
So
won a game.
Brazil was the last time they won a game.
Yeah, before Brazil, the last game they won was Saudi Arabia in 2002.
And now here's stats. And there are people that were born in that 2002. They are arguing us now on Facebook, right? That was the last time Cameroon won a game.
Yeah.
No, yeah, people, their stats.
Well, Crystal just asked the question now that like, do you guys think the Lumumba guy should have gone back home or should he have stayed in Morocco to enjoy the AFCON?
He's a fan of he's a mascot of Congo. Congo is not there. He should have gone home, right? He's a
Yes.
mascot of Congo.
Yeah,
So Congo is disqualified. He goes home with the team. He cannot go be the mascot of. If he wanted to just stay and watch the game as a fan, as a normal person, and that's it, but not support another, he cannot go be the mascot of Morocco or do the same thing that he's doing. So I think it's dignified for him to say, I keep my honor.
Yeah,
if it was Ngando, I'm sure he would have just changed color. I'm sure. And the money that they would have given him, he would have said he lost it. So
But that's that's the mentality of the Cameroonian now, right? Because we have been reduced to beggars. We have been reduced to being beggars.
Just
That's just the reality. Well, guys, it was a good one. We clocked 2 hours.
Okay.
I think that was enough football. We can talk more maybe after the semifinals and then finals.
Yeah. It will be good.
Based on availability and stuff like that. It's
Yep.
always a pleasure, coming out and hanging out, on a football platform and talk football. And we thank all those who are actually watching. Crystal, Bebetas. I know you said those Lumumba moments were emotional. Yes, of course, they were emotional. Crystal says, I beg when I make a podcast from my backside. Thank you, Crystal. We shall take that offer when we come to Dallas to watch World Cup. We shall take that offer gladly. It will be a pleasure. Cornell, thank you very much. Ginola Kumbela, and of course our guy from Kenya. I think his name is Michael Olunga. Thank you,
Tell him to
Michael.
bring more Kenyans. We want to have a Kenyan audience.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course, of course. We shall
we
be
wanna-
grow that.
yes.
We can only grow that with consistency. So thank you very much, guys. It's time for some football. I think when do the Eagles play?
Tomorrow. And they play tomorrow.
Okay.
You know we represent the East. I know your Cowboys. They're not cutting in no more.
Man,
But,
tomorrow I'll be watching. Guess what I'll be watching? El
me and
Clasico.
Ajab, we're past all of that now.
No, but well,
We're not
anyway, there's
impressed
no
more. We leave that to you
I
AFCON
guys.
don't
tomorrow.
watch until the
Yeah.
AFCON is done. Then I watch highlights.
Oh,
I
wow,
don't
yes.
watch games anymore. I watch highlights.
Okay, fair
We'll
enough.
check
Fair
the
enough.
scores. We'll check the scores. Did you?
Yeah.
Today, Tottenham lost. I'm like, okay, I didn't even stress myself. Imagine if I would have watched that game instead of missing Nigeria.
Exactly.
Oh no,
Algeria.
no, oh no. I don't watch African football during the. I don't watch European football during African when the games are going on. Tomorrow is just that there will be no football, so I have to occupy myself with something. Anyway, always a pleasure, guys.
Yeah.
You guys
thanks.
enjoy your day. Thank you.
You enjoy the rest
Thank
of
you,
the day.
guys. Good night.
Nice weekend.
All right.
Okay.